Here, let's start with the prompt. Which finding would support the researcher's hypothesis? In these mountains, these two plants establish themselves on nutrient poor patches of quartzite rock, soilless nutrient patches. These ecologists use microscopic analysis to determine that the roots of them, which grow directly into the rock, have clusters of fine hairs near the root tip. Further analysis indicates that these hairs secrete both malic and citric acids. The researchers hypothesized that the plants depend on dissolving underlying rock with these acids, as the process not only creates channels for continued growth, but also releases phosphates that provide the vital nutrient phosphorus. So we have these plants that are in nutrient poor patches of rock. They have roots that grow directly into the rock, and the roots have hairs, and the hairs secrete acid. The plants depend on dissolving the rock with the acids. It not only creates channels for growth, but also releases nutrients. So you would imagine that a plant that's growing into a rock needs to make space for itself. But what's being said is that in addition to that, the plant is actually digesting the rock, which is a little more unusual and makes sense because it's growing in a nutrient poor area. So perhaps the plant has adapted some ability to use something as a nutrient that other plants don't use as a nutrient. So let's look at the answers now. We need to support this hypothesis. A says other species in the family are found in terrains with more soil. Okay, so it doesn't relate at all to what we're hearing about. B, although these plants both secrete acids, each species produces the acid in different proportions. So the amount of proportion of the acid, I don't think really relates to the idea that they're dissolving the rock in order to get nutrients out of it. C, the roots carve new entry points into rocks even when cracks in the surface are readily available. So that's really interesting because that's actually saying that they're not just dissolving the rock to carve entry points, but also for some other reason. And I think it's implying that it's getting nutrients out of it. So if there's not a better answer, we'll pick that one. And D, the plants thrive even when transferred to the surface of rocks that don't contain phosphates. Well, that would maybe not make sense because the whole point was that the acid was releasing phosphorus, which is a phosphate. So that kind of doesn't really make sense in terms of what we read. So the answer here is C.